What's up guys, my name is Liam and today I'm going to be doing a review on the NPET Tech Hard Resin Speed Pad. I've been really lucky reviewing such great products lately and this is no exception. I've been absolutely loving this pad. However, is this going to be the perfect gaming speed pad for you? Let's check it out. Alright guys, and here we got the pad right here, and I do want to let you guys know that NPET Tech did actually send this copy out to me, and it actually worked in my advantage because I had actually been eyeballing this pad before they reached out to me. And with that being said, as you guys know, I'm always going to give you guys my truthful and honest opinions. And when it comes to picking this pad up, you can actually purchase this pad right now directly through Amazon. You'll have two different options when it comes to the size of the pad. You can either pick it up in medium or large. I personally obviously recommend getting the large version. This pad right here comes in at 45 centimeters in width, 40 centimeters in height, and this pad sits at 3 millimeters in thickness on your desk. They currently have 4 different color options. You can get a black version, a red version, and they also have 2 other versions that have 2 different types of anime graphics on them. And at the time of the making of this video, this pad currently sits the large version at $44.99, and there is an optional 20% coupon that you can apply when purchasing this. When I did receive this in the mail, it came nicely packaged. It was in a flat box, very protected. Didn't have any issues with the quality opening up or anything like that. And one thing I'd like to note about the packaging is that it did come wrapped up in cardboard. It didn't have any type of external boxing or anything like that for storage. So jumping into the construction, when talking about the base, when I saw them describing the base, I kind of thought that it was going to be like almost like a sticky, like a sticker type of a material, but it isn't like that. And they actually classify this as being a pour-on base. It has a very smooth feeling across, and let me tell you guys, when you get this thing planted on your desk, it does not move at all. It doesn't budge whatsoever. In fact, when it comes to applying this on your desk, you have to set it lightly on your desk and adjust it exactly how you're going to want it. Then once you get it how you want it, you just kind of just push into the pad, and after that, it's a done deal. This thing is sealed and it won't budge at all. In fact, the only way that you'll be able to get a move from this point going forward after you've actually stuck it to your desk is you have to literally pick up a corner and just completely peel it off the desk in order to be able to adjust it or move it again. And so far, I've had absolutely no issues with this base. I've been able to remove it, reapply it several times. I have not had any issues with the stickiness. And the second layer consists of a foam, and I want to say the foam feels great. It feels kind of like a mid-base type foam. You can press into it from the bottom of the pad, but overall it feels very sturdy and very stable. And when you have this pad sitting on your desk, it feels completely even from the middle of the pad to the sides. There isn't any parts of this pad where I noticed it was dipping in or pressing in or anything like that. It felt extremely consistent all around. And then the third layer consists of the most important part, which is the surface, and I've been absolutely loving the surface of this pad. Overall, the surface does feel pretty smooth. There is a clear texture in the surface of the pad, and this is mostly due to the fact to create reflective properties, so it's more precise and accurate on your gaming mouse sensor. But overall, the surface, it doesn't feel too rough. It didn't feel like too abrasive on my skin or anything like that. And honestly, moving my forearm across the pad, I didn't notice any type of issues or was bothering me or hindering me any type of way. It has honestly been performing flawlessly for me, and I think that they got it spot on here. And as you can see, the surface does have these exposed edges here, and I do want to say, sitting at 3 millimeters in thickness, I personally didn't have any issues with these corners. And for me personally, going left to right, I don't really notice them at all or even feel them. The only time where I feel like you could probably possibly notice the edges on this, if you were a forearm aimer and you're constantly moving your forearm up and down aggressively on it. However, I don't think it's too much of an issue. You could possibly have to wear a sleeve if you're doing that. But again, with my play style, mostly being a wrist aimer, I never even noticed them there once. They never bothered me at all in my gameplay. So when it comes to the overall performance of this pad, I do feel like I am a bit biased with this pad. I'm a lot older. I've been in the gaming scene for a long time. Back in the day, in the early Counter-Strike days when I was playing StarCraft, everybody just seemed to use a hard pad. So I'm not gonna lie to you guys, I used a hard pad for several years growing up, and honestly, when I first started using this, it just brought back so many memories, and it honestly kind of felt like I was going back home. And when I first laid this on my desk and I started playing Apex Legends, I truly was just blown away with how much I was just killing it in game. I just felt so confident. The micro adjustments are just so easy and effortlessly. It's so easy to track or to make corrections in your aim, and it just overall, it was just such a great experience gaming on this. Now, just so you guys know, this thing is incredibly fast. Like, I'm talking like super fast. So if you're used to any type of a cloth pad or anything like that, then this is absolutely going to be difficult for you to get used to, and it's absolutely going to take some adjustments. And I don't know what it is about the resin. Like I said, for me, I just probably have so many years of experience on using resin style pads or anything. It's kind of similar to this. It feels so great to me. And not only is this fast, but I feel like compared to glass being a harder surface, obviously, I do feel like with this, I mean, it is minimal control, but I do feel like you get a little bit control with a resin pad as opposed to glass. And I want to let you guys know it's not a world of difference. If you're not used to using a glass pad or this type of pad, you probably wouldn't notice the difference between the two. But overall, I just say that this thing is great and it is extremely fast. And when it comes to using different types of mice on this pad with different types of skates, whether they're smaller skates, bigger skates, it honestly truly doesn't matter at all. I would say that every skate performs pretty similarly on this pad. Everything feels almost equally as fast to me. It might be a little bit different if you're using something like dot skates or something like that. However, I don't notice much of a difference, and the performance is really on par and spot on with everything that I've tried out. And another thing to bring up that was really cool is when I received this in the mail, it actually does come with dot skates as well. So if you are looking to switch out the dot skates, it's pretty cool that they do include these as well. Now, in order to preserve the life and the durability of this pad, it is not recommended to use any type of a hard surface or to place anything hard or sharp on this. Now, with that being said, I know a lot of people that like to use glass skates. Even though it's not recommended, they still do it anyways. And since this pad sits a little bit cheaper, if you were looking to use glass skates and you're like, I don't care, I'll just switch it out if it wears down or whatever. And I did want to let you guys know, I did test that out just very briefly. And the one thing that I was really shocked to find is I actually feel like the PTFE skates actually glide faster than the glass skates did on this pad. So I mean, with that being said, the fact that these are not recommended to use on here due to the fact it could scratch up or destroy the surface, and that it even has a slower glide to begin with, I truly wouldn't see any reason at all even using any type of glass skates or anything on this surface. And when it comes to the performance of the resin speed pad versus something like the Pulsar Superglide, is my favorite glass pad on the market right now, I do feel like overall the characteristics between these two pads are very similar. And in terms of speed, I would have to say that the resin pad does feel a bit faster than the Superglide glass mouse pad. With the resin pad being a bit faster, it does feel a little bit more slippery as you're going through your glide. However, when you are getting down and making the micro adjustments, I overall feel like since resin is kind of a softer material and it doesn't have the same hardness of a glass pad, I do feel like you get a little slight bit more of control when making the micro adjustments or the corrections or the tracking up close. All right, and the next step, if you were to compare the resin pad to something like the TJX Exclusives Cerapad Kin, honestly, the performance in these is kind of just unmatched. The TJX Exclusive Cerapad Kin has way more control, feels like a way slower pad, and overall this pad, it just feels so much faster and it has so much more of an effortless glide to it. So if you're used to something that's a bit slower or way more of a control type of a pad, this is something that's going to be on the absolute opposite end of the spectrum, and I would say that this is probably one of the fastest pads that I've ever tried out. All right, and then finally, if you were to compare this resin pad to something like the Artisan Shindenkai, which is a glass infusion soft pad, I would have to say, for me personally, I would say that this resin pad is going to be the clear winner over the Shindenkai in this case. They both have an incredibly fast glide on the surface. However, I do feel like the resin pad, it does have a much quicker glide overall. And aside from the speed of this pad being much faster, the one thing I find very interesting about the resin pad is that when you get into the micro adjustments or the corrections, I feel like overall it feels more effortlessly on the resin pad. And the thing that's really odd about it is even though it has less initial static friction, it's easier to move around, I do feel like you get a bit more control with this resin pad. All right, guys, so that wraps things up here for the NPET Tech resin hard gaming mouse pad. I have truly been impressed by the performance of this pad. I've absolutely been loving it. It is incredibly consistent all the way across the board. It has some of the greatest speed that I've ever tested out of anything else in the market. And the one thing that's really unique for me personally is I never felt like it was too slippery or anything like that. Now, again, with that being said, if you're used to any type of control, this is going to be way slipperier than that and way different. So I'm not trying to classify this as a control pad in any way, shape, or form. All I'm saying is that when you compare this to other speed offerings out there on the market, I do feel like this has some of the best control with some of the fastest speed out of all the other offerings out there that I've tried out. And coming in at the great price that you could pick this up at, and it has great availability right now as well, I would definitely have to say that this is going to be an absolute recommend for me if you are in the ballpark of looking for something like this. And I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to give this 2 thumbs up. From the base to the foam to the surface, I truly have no complaints about the construction of this pad, how it performs, or how it sits on my desk. All right guys, so if you have any questions or feel like there's anything I left out, please let me know down in the comments below. I will be leaving links to pick up this pad down in the description if you are interested in supporting this channel. And if you've liked this video and are interested in seeing more videos like this in the future, please give this video a like and subscribe to my channel. Thank you guys so much for watching this video, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one.